alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Vivid Voices podcast. I'm Sunny, your host for today, and I couldn't be more excited to share this moment with you. Tonight we're kicking off season 3 with an episode that's close to my heart, echoes of experience, the gift of diversity. Toastmasters is all about growth and how we communicate, how we lead, and most importantly, how we connect. And what better way to grow than by diving into the beauty and challenges of diversity? Here in Asia, we're surrounded by vibrant mosaic of cultures, tradition, and perspective. It's a gift that reminds us to cherish our own stories while learning from others. Diversity is powerful. It opens door to understanding, pushes us out of our comfort zone, and not teaches us to see the world through new lenses. But let's be real. It's not always easy, yeah? Stereotypes, biases, and misunderstanding can get in the way. That's why I believe tonight's conversation matters so much. We'll be, as Honey mentioned earlier, we'll be unraveling the threads that unite us, celebrating the differences that makes us special, and shining a light on how we can overcome barriers. And to guide us, tonight we have not one, not two, but yay, three extraordinary voices. We have Hanan. Hi, Hanan.
Hi,
Hi.
Sunny. Hi, thank you.
Hanan is an Arabic woman. Arabic, yeah?
Uh,
Building in life in East Malaysia.
yes,
Great.
correct.
We'll hear more about your thoughts later. Welcome.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you.
Next, we have Francis. Hi, Francis.
Hi, Sunny.
Francis is a Malaysian Dayak Bidaya. He's a finance professional exploring identity across borders. So we'll hear from you, yeah, Francis?
Yes, you will.
Great. Last but not least, we have Faisal. Hi, Faisal.
Hi, Sunny. I like your energy.
Yeah, Faisal needs a lot of energy because he's currently balancing life between borders of Singapore, where he works as an IT sales consultant in Brunei, where his family reside. Faisal brings us a unique perspective by his Malay Singaporean heritage, having grown in a multicultural environment. So tonight he's also eager to share his experience and gain insight from the panel and audience on the richness and the challenges of living with diversity. All of the speakers tonight bring a unique lens to the table, and their stories are sure to inspire and challenge us. After their speeches, when we have time, we'll also hear from each other, maybe some thoughts impromptu, because this isn't just about hearing voices, it's about creating the space for everyone to be heard. So grab your favorite drinks, settle down, settled in. Let's dive into the echoes of experience. Together, we'll explore how diversity shape us, strengthen us, and reminds us that our differences are worth celebrating. Let's get started. So I'd like to invite the first speaker, Hanan, to on your microphone. Are you ready, Hanan?
Ready?
Hanan, I'd like to know what is the one cultural tradition from your background that you wish more people around the world could experience and why?
Oh, wow. One culture things. Okay. I love being Arabic or Arab. Actually, I love being Arab. I love to belong to this rich culture that have lots of beauty and lots of things that I really appreciated from where I came. But if there is one thing I like how people to experience about it, oh, that's quite difficult. I would say to understand it more than to experience about it is how women are treated in our culture. Because this is, I think, the most thing that misunderstood to people who are coming from non-Arab culture is women are very weak, not educated enough. They cannot control their own life. There is a man who control them, and so on. Lots of myth, lots of stereotype, and it's really exaggerated. And yeah, I think even people who are coming from older generation didn't have this life that people thought about them. I wish they explore more about read more about them, about their achievement, especially Saudi Arabia, since this is where I came from. Also, Yemen, my original country. In both countries, there's a woman who achieved lots of things, not only today, even before. How women are treated in our culture is something totally different from what people think about. They appreciate a woman, respect her. Uh, they they have a totally different, I think, life than what we people feel. Yes, there is dark side, but it's not the big image. I would say it's what happened in every country. So this is the thing that I like people to understand. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Hannah. That's beautiful. And you being part of this open conversation here right now is already sharing a bit of how women are respected and loved in Yemen and Saudi Arabia. Otherwise, we wouldn't see you here. Next, I'd like to invite the next speaker, Francis. Francis. Interesting. Uh, s- eh, I'd love to hear about your Malaysian Bidayo heritage. How has it helped you appreciate diversity while fostering tolerance in your interaction with others?
That's a very good question, Sunny. And before I would begin with my sharing tonight, I would like to say I'm very, very honored for this conversation and you inviting me to speak here. So, as a Malaysian Bidayu, I believe not everyone knows what are Malaysian Bidayu. So, for those who might not be familiar, the Bidayu is actually one of the indigenous groups in Sarawak and is part of the larger Dayak community in Borneo. So, I grew up in a household full of tradition, nature, as well as perhaps you could say community as well. But I do have a unique childhood where I do grow up not only being part of the traditional tribe, the indigenous tribe of Sarawak, but also with other people, other cultures. I grew up in when I first studied up. I grew up in a situation where I get to know and meet a lot of people. First of all, the earliest memory that I had was I went to a kindergarten full of diverse people. There are Chinese people. There are also even Malay people as well. From there, I get to know their own culture, and I get to know their own beliefs. This is quite important for me, especially to build up tolerance and to understand other people. So, growing up, especially in this wonderful country full of diversity such as Malaysia, I was also fortunate enough to celebrate together with other races as well as other people with different culture. One of the earlier experiences that I had was to celebrate Chinese New Year with my fellow friends, where I visited multiple houses nonstop until midnight. And I ended up
Wow.
with either movies or sometimes, with firecrackers. And not only Chinese New Year, but also perhaps Hari Raya. Those are the experiences that I have gathered along my years living here on this planet Earth for 29 years, I believe, this year. That build up this tolerance, this understanding that different culture could actually cultivate more understanding towards them. and hence I am more tolerant with others, and I'm ready to accept differences, as these are the backbone of unity for me. That's all from me. Back to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Francis. I love that. Building your own community does not necessarily staying in your own race, but also celebrating with others to build tolerance. Love that idea. Love the community that you have. I'd like to hear now from across the pond. Faisal, are you ready?
Yes, Sunny, ready to go.
Great. As a Singaporean Malay in Brunei, what commonalities and differences have you observed, either in workplace or in daily life? And how has this experience influenced your view on diversity itself?
Thank you, Sunny. So I think that Singapore is one of the most multicultural countries, or in our case, it's just a city-state, so maybe not so much a country. I mean, for those of you who have been to Singapore and you have taken our MRT, you probably realize that the announcements in the MRT are made in four languages: English, Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil. So when I was growing up in Singapore, I've always been exposed to a very multicultural environment. In kindergarten, I actually had to learn Mandarin, but I gave up after a few days because it was just too difficult to memorize the Chinese characters. Then in school, something in our typical classes, there would be, say, the majority of my classmates were Chinese. There would be 5 or 6 Malays and Indians, and maybe a single Eurasian. So that was a typical makeup of a Singapore classroom in the schooling environment. So growing up, I'm always used to actually mixing around with different races. So it's something that I assume it's natural everywhere. And when I moved to working and university life, it became actually much easier to integrate with other cultures, because not just you see your own people, but you have to actually interact with other people from other parts of the world. So it becomes easier that way. Uh, the challenges of actually living in a multicultural environment, I would say there are a few, but I think one interesting challenge I would say is, at least for in Singapore context, is the thing called identity confusion. So sometimes we are so like assimilated with other cultures, we tend to lose a bit of what makes us unique. And you might have noticed about Singaporeans that maybe we all look the same, even though we are Malay, Chinese, or Indian. We seem to be the same because we might tend not to take too much pride in our own identity. So I think that's one of the challenges there. And of course, there are other factors like the language barrier and discrimination. Yeah, that's I think I will talk about later in the further other questions. Back to you, Sunny.
Thank you. Thank you, Faisal. And I'd like to actually hear more from you. So I'd like to take this opportunity to, request for another 2 minutes from Latricia for Faisal for the next question. So in relation to what you just shared, yeah, because it's just an interesting opening to this. What part you talk about being, having a unique identity, finding it, but what's the pivotal moment when all this diversity push you out of your comfort zone and led to personal growth?
Well, the pivotal moment that pushed me out of my comfort zone would be I wouldn't say there's actually a particular instance of time. Maybe just moving out to the working world or moving out to university, because I always assume that being friends with the major races in Singapore, Chinese, the Indians, it's something natural. But when I step out and move out to the working world, you have to actually interact with people of even more races, because people from many parts of the world, they come to work in Singapore, and the differences become even greater. So the level of I would say understanding and tolerance and towards other cultures, the need for that becomes even greater as you start to interact with more and more people. Yeah, as I mentioned, the challenges, of course, are the language barriers. But fortunately for us, as locals, we of course, we try to accommodate the other races as much as possible. So, I mean, our common language is English, but sometimes when we interact with foreigners, then they might not have the same level of English as the locals. So that's where the challenge actually comes in. Back to you, Sadi.
Oh, thank you for that. I'd like others to win on this as well. I'd like to invite Hanan. Hanan, what do you think? Would you be able to share the similar instances where diversity actually push you out of your comfort zone?
Diversity pushed me out of my comfort zone. I think I don't have a yes or no answer for this because I'm born in a diverse environment. So it was normal for me. It was normal to be around different perspective, different culture, different languages. Like even my family member, they don't speak one language. So it, uh, for me, I would like to speak more about when I moved to Sarawak, maybe when I came to Malaysia, different country. So this is introduced me to a new aspect of diversity. Things like how people express their emotion, how they deal with the differences, what they feel, do they feel comfortable or not, uh, how they adjust a new perspective and views about things that they know it like it's basic. It's like there's no second opinion on it. Uh, yeah, I think this is how I explore diversity in Sarawak, especially. Um, Also, maybe because here I've also met people who came originally from their home country. Like when I was in Saudi Arabia, for example, Afghani people who I met in Saudi Arabia, they born and grow up in Saudi Arabia, and their parents maybe also grow up in the same culture. But Afghani person who I met in Malaysia, they came from Afghanistan. Uh, so this is also introduced me of people who came from same country and they follow the same culture, how different they are, how different in the way they view the world. Maybe think that the topic that we usually talk about it. So the if I want to highlight something about how I diversity pushed me to grow or go out of the comfort zone, I would say is to be compassionate more about how people feel discomfortable with the change. So back to you, Sunny.
Wow, powerful, Hanan. The courage to change, the courage to see from another one's perspective. Which brings me to Francis. Same questions to you. Based on what we've heard from our fellow speakers, Faisal and Hanan today, what do you think? If you could share a pivotal moment when diversity pushed you out of your comfort zone and leading to personal growth.
Hmm. All right. Thank you, Sunny. That question reminds me of my moment when I asked my mom, why did you send me to a Chinese school? The reason why I asked this because I was pushed towards studying Mandarin. It was not by choice, it was by force. I think it's based on like how most Asian parents would want their kids to grow up into a situation where they could actually, progress further in their career in the future. That is what occurs to my mom. Because when I asked her why did she send me to Chinese school, she told me, because I would want you to experience other different people culture. But then I answer her back. When you send me to a Chinese school, a Mandarin school, I could not get straight A's. because Mandarin is not my main subject and is not my main mode of communication, especially with my parents and my family. But the reason why she said that I have to experience other people culture actually opens up my mind more, because by having this kind of experience, studying in a place that you are not comfortable in, a different language where language is obviously the barrier there, it pushes me to grow myself more, to be more mature early on, because that's when I realized that other people has their own differences and no one is the same. And from there, I've got to learn how to adapt. I've got to learn how to accept not only my situation of not getting straight A's, but my situation to understand everyone. And from that moment itself, I've grown to learn and accept other people's culture, other people culture in a way that non-Malaysian, for example, because I do also have a family member that are not totally Malaysian. Some are like Indonesian as well as Singaporean. And this opens up my mind that this world is a wonderful world where differences make the world revolves around. And that is all from me, Sunny, and I pass it to you.
Thank you, Francis. The differences makes the world go round. Fantastic. Really, really beautiful language we're using today. Now, I'd like to actually invite a guest tonight who's not a Toastmasters, perhaps, to give her thoughts on diversity. So, Nadia, I have a question for you because how are you?
Good. How are you?
That's not the question. I'm just reading the
Easy one. That's easy.
I'm reading the Vivid Voices chat group, and they're talking about dieting and Chinese New Year celebration coming up. My mouth is already salivating at the thought of it. So actually, I would like to bring you in the discussion on diversity. And the question I have for you today is, what's the dish? What if you could share it with me, a dish or a food from another culture that's not Malay, that's not of your heritage, that taught you something about their way of life or values? Because I'm trying to find synergy here.
Okay. Okay. If you ask me that, the first thing that comes to my mind, Chinese New Year, right? I think it's Chinese New Year. I can't remember. When they have all that, you take the chopstick, the dishes in the middle, and you're like this. What is that? What do you call that?
Yisang?
Hindi ko tahu namanya. Tapi I was invited because growing up, I never attended these events. But because my husband, what do you call it? He's in a company with colleagues, young Chinese colleagues. So he's invited lah. So he said, "Okay, come with me," and I go, "Sure, okay, whatever." And then this, what do you call that? Tradition, I think, yeah, the tradition. I found it really interesting because it reminds me of ambuyat, because you are sharing one dish, So I know it just come to mind like, macam Melayu also this, So I find the similarities, and the sharing one dish is always brings to mind like there's a unity. Sharing food is always something that you gotta like each other to share food, So that's what I feel when I see this tradition during Chinese New Year, and I think it's cool. I find it fun.
All right. Thanks, Nadia. Oh, is this your first time in a Toastmasters meeting?
Yeah, I don't attend online. I have attended Kale face to face, but online it's different. I don't feel like it's Toastmasters somehow.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those COVID times. We have to get together so we don't go crazy, that kind of thing.
Thanks, Nadia.
Thank you.
I'd like to pose a question to Eloise as well. Eloise, are you there? Can you speak? I guess not. I still want to talk about food. Let's hear it from Faisal. What dish from another culture that taught you something about their way of life or value?
Well, I have to say Ambuyat hands down. My wife is Bruneian, so when I got to know my wife, the first dish that I was introduced to was Ambuyat. And to be honest, I didn't actually like it very much at the beginning. So it was a dish which I grew to love over time. And I find that Ambuyat is a very interesting dish. I understand there's also a very interesting story behind it. So it's a dish that's actually eaten by in the past by people who were not so well off, and now it has evolved to being actually a delicacy. And it's not just in Brunei, so it's also eaten in Sabah and Sarawak. So that was actually the first dish of a different culture that I tried, and I would say it's something I do enjoy. And I'm not sure exactly what is the significance for the different for the particular part of this world in Borneo, but it is something I see that it brings people together, because when you eat ambuyat, you eat as a family, you eat together with your loved ones. So it is a dish that actually brings people together, so that there is a communal I think aspect behind it. And I feel that is the same for many other dishes, that the one where you have in Chinese New Year. So it's I think that's the interesting aspect of food, how food actually uh, has a very important role in diversity in culture. Back to you, Sunny.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Yisang, it was an experience for me as well. Ambuyat, even though I'm born in Brunei, it was only until later in life when I was introduced to Ambuyat by my parents. I was a very picky eater. I'd like to try again, ET. ET, are you there? I guess he's not here. I'd like to hear one thing that I hear when it comes to the common language or common thing about culture is food had really an important aspect in it, because there's element of community when you eat together. So as Nadia had mentioned earlier, you got to like someone or at least trust someone before you can eat together. And I feel that reading Al Quran and learning about the life of Nabi Muhammad, Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, um, one of the most friendliest, most courteous culture in the world is actually from the Arab land. Yeah. So I'd like to know from Hanan your perspective on the dish, not from Arab, from other culture that taught you something about their life or value.
Wow, you make it more challenging for me because you said not Arab, not Arab, Saudi Arabia. Okay. Ah, about the culture. Okay, let me share about Malaysian food. From my perspective and from my own experience, guys, when I notice Malaysian food and I compare it with Arab food, I feel like Malaysian food is more easy to go. It's like doesn't take much time, doesn't have too much process. Yes, believe me, honey, doesn't need big effort from you. Actually, if you go to Arab kitchen, uh, cooking seems like a heavy mission to complete. But in Malaysian, it's more easy from my own perspective. And I think this is reflect about the culture itself. Like you like to make things as simple as possible. Don't make it uh, complicated, uh, like how it is sometimes. And I don't like to use the word complicated, but I would say more simple. Arabs like more details in their life, in their culture, and the way they cook. Also, it's different. Yes, back to you, Sunny.
Thank you. Thank you, Hanan. My heritage, my food heritage growing up is actually Indomie. It's definitely not Bruneian. It's imported, but it has become my traditional food. That's why I agree with you, we like to make things simple. 3 minutes, enough. Which brings me to Francis. Francis, I'm curious. I'm curious what other cuisine from other culture have you tested and how had it shown you? How is it? Let's not talk about Chinese because you've eaten plenty of angkam, I'm sure. Other culture, please, that made you celebrate their difference.
Uh, Other culture food. When you mentioned other culture food, it reminded me of my experience eating with my friend's family. Then I have a friend back in Kuching because I'm actually originally from Kuching, and he is a mixed Filipino Chinese.
Mm.
So since he is Filipino Chinese, and you know what they say, Filipino food is quite good, the mother actually cooked for us. If you have you heard about sisig? I have to remember back, because this question is a bit interesting. So I went to search back the food. There's something called adobo, sinigang, and sisig. These are the three main food that his mom prepared because his mom is Filipino and she come from Cebu. All right, so genuine Filipino food, and the way they prepare it, the taste is very, very good. It's very savory. You can taste each and every distinct dish that they have. Each dish has a very distinct flavor. So none of it is the same. So after getting a bite from each and every part of the dish, it comes to me a realization that food is definitely part and parcel of their identity. Because food itself, from what I understand, is where your culture culminates. Everything comes together. All right. So because for us Sarawakian, our most famous food would be laksa. So I would also like to take this opportunity to share that laksa, even though it comes from different parts of ingredients, and it signifies the different parts of tribes of people in Sarawak, Malaysia, it comes together into one synergized food called laksa, a very hot broth. They sometimes called as Breakfast of the Gods by the late chef Anthony Bourdain, and it's one of the best. And understanding other people's food as well as other people's culture is a backbone of why I said unity, and it's also one of the best experience to actually understanding other people's culture, food. All right, that's all from me. And I know you love Indomie. Like maybe later we can grab Indomie together. Over
Yeah,
to you,
let's do that.
Sunny.
Thank you. Thank you, Francis. I'd like to also open this floor. I guess we're still talking about food and it's a universal language. I'd like to open it to either Letitia or Terrence. Would you like to give us some of your thoughts on this?
Sure, I go first. Thanks for the opportunity, Sunny. Speaking about food, I can only remember the time when I was first being invited to my ex-girlfriend, now wife, ex-girlfriend's kampong. For your information, I'm pure Chinese, and my ex-girlfriend is Iban Chinese, Chiban. So first time in the kampong, was greeted by my future father-in-law, greeted with lots of delicious food. And there's just one dish at that time he mentioned, you must try this, it's the best because it's fresh. He told me it's fresh. You must try it. So I kept on asking, what is this? What is this? He said, don't worry, you just try it and let me know how it tastes like first. So I had a go, and after that he'll be asking like, how does it taste like? And I said, oh, it tastes not bad, quite delicious. Now can I know what it is? So guess what? He told me it was fresh because it was picked up beside the road because it was from a roadkill from someone who ran over it. and turned out to be a huge monitor lizard. And that was how I had this memorable meal uh, of me trying to appreciate the different types of food we have in this world, and yet sometimes it can taste so delicious, and sometimes it's best not to know what it is. Yeah, I think that's what I can remember. Now back to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Terence. Yeah, special meat, mystery meat indeed. Latricia, would you wanna share something? Would you like to share something?
About food.
How you appreciate other people's culture through their food?
Okay, I can time myself.
Awesome.
Okay. So outside of Chinese food, I've always appreciated Japanese food. I have membership to Escapade. I'm still getting a membership for Kaizen. I'm still also trying to get a membership for Sushi Day. I am one of those regular customers you'll see at Escapade, especially on my birthday. I really love their salmon teriyaki don when it was first introduced to me. I would say since I was probably 6 or 7 years old, I have never changed my menu since whenever I went to a sushi restaurant. I will always order the same thing, sushi teriyaki don, which is cooked salmon with rice and teriyaki sauce. But of course, I soon escalated that to a more elevated taste, so to say. I didn't like raw salmon. I only liked the cooked one when I was young. But of course, once I got older, I tend to move towards the raw salmon. And I would love that with wasabi sauce and the soy sauce together. Then there's also the crispy shrimp, I believe. Yeah, the crispy shrimp was delicious as well. I could talk about sushi for more, but I don't want to overtake the podcast talking about Japanese food. So I'll bring it back to you, Sunny. Thank you.
Thank you, Latricia. You know what I experienced from this? Food that's foreign to us is slowly becoming our very own traditional food. Uh, I could also share you stories of other people's culture that become my own tradition with my family. But I'd like to hear from E.T. E.T., are you around? No? Still not around? And Christy, did I see Christy came online just now? Oh, so maybe last question to Honey. The last on food, that is. What other cultures' food that you enjoy and made you appreciate the culture more?
This is a very, very good question. I wanted to say Japanese food, maybe because it is, but not in a way that I ate them locally. So last year, early in the year, I actually went to Japan, and of course, the first thing in my head was, is it really as good as the food that you ate, here in Malaysia? So I tried them, all the rawness, all the unis, all the fresh from the catch, and serve on a hot plate, and like just as it is. Then I come to realize that the way Japanese people eat is literally hot rice, and it's hot rice literally everywhere. You can get instant rice to reheat. 7-Eleven is full of rice. You don't really even have to buy rice that is not cooked, because you could survive there for the rest of your life, per se, without even needing to cook rice because it's available everywhere.
then I realized, right, how our own culture is so much better in terms of how we present our food. Now I love, not to say I don't love them. I do love them. I do love them so much that I think I was ready to go back to our own food by the time that we reach home. Because it turns out that they eat the exact same thing every single day. And in a way that I look at it, it may lack creativity at some point. Meanwhile, I miss my spices. I miss my different parts of lamb and chicken. I am happy to not smell fishy when by the time I finish a meal, and I get to burp other tastes other than fish or raw things. It makes me appreciate that we have the best culinary experience back at home. That made me change my perspective. Still love Japanese food, just looking at it from a different perspective now. I'm back home. Yeah.
Thank you, honey. Like they say, absence makes the heart goes fonder. Different taste makes you miss homemade food. Smile. I know I promised to talk about the other flip. We've been talking about food and all the fun stuff. I kind of want to bring it back to the most serious tone. So with this, I think the best person to help me continue this conversation would be Hanan, who spoke about how um, the stereotype of her culture, especially the women in Arabia, needs to be challenged. Yeah, I really it makes me want to explore this further. So Hanan, have you? I'm just curious again from your perspective. Yeah, have you ever misjudged someone based on their background or culture, and what changed your perception based on this experience?
Okay. I judge someone based on the culture of their culture. Okay. Hmm. Hey, I'm not trying to look very nice person, but it's hard to remember that. Let me explain why. Because since I was a child, I was surrounded with different nationality. So all nationality that come to your mind. Afghani, Indian, Pakistani, Indonesian, African, or the African nationalities like Kenya, uh, Tashad, all these things. And some of them were my father friends, and they came to our house. And sometimes, because my father trusts them, they fetch us from school when he is busy. Because my father was also working in Unilever, which is very diverse organization. So I'm not sure if that happened, that I judged someone by the culture. Yes, I cannot recall a memory of that, and I'm thankful of this. Actually, I'm really thankful that I haven't been in the situation that someone's culture or nationality make me judge them. I judge based on behavior, maybe. Yeah. So I didn't be in this situation, I think. Maybe the quite challenging one when I came to Malaysia, because I wasn't familiar to, let's say, tattoos. Like in Saudi Arabia, you don't see a person with tattoos, especially quite old days, like a few years ago. It wasn't common. Like the people don't accept it because of the religion perspective. And when I came to Malaysia, this is more common. However, it didn't take for me time to just accept and adjust. Like if it's small tattoo, it's okay for me. It's a full body of tattoos. At the beginning, I feel like, why he do that? Like I became quite careful, and then I found out that it's a way of expressing themselves for them. So it's like a personal choice. It's not like something I need to be careful or it's a sign of dangerous. So that's from me. Back to you,
Great.
Sam.
Thank you for the sharing, Hanan. It's very real. I want to flip the question to Francis. Um, can you share as a time where you feel like an outsider? And what do you learn from that experience?
Thank you, Sunny. The experience of being an outsider. This reminds me of another story that I had actually back in uni, where I was invited to visit a local university in Penang. All right. So when I went there, I'm the only person that is perhaps you can call different, but in a very positive tone, because I went for I went for an event back in Penang at that time. It was a team building event, and it was part of a community that fights against corruption, if I'm not mistaken. Because it was perhaps 8 to 7 years back ago. So back then, the reason why I say I was an outsider is because I'm the only person from Sarawak, as well as I'm the only non-Muslim. Yes, so everyone else are Muslim, and uh, to me, the reason why I felt I'm an outsider is because of my identity as a non-Muslim, but there is not a reason why I also feel like I'm an outsider. It's because during certain period of the event, most commonly it would be the prayer time. I would be left alone because everyone goes for prayer, and I'm the only one that is not going for prayer. Yeah, but I actually would say that that opens up my mind more, because that's where I can see how other people actually express themselves through their identity. For example, in that situation, those people are Malays as well as Muslims. And to me, because I do have Muslims in my family members there, in my own family member, there's a lot of Muslims, a lot of Christians as well. So I do not feel like it is very much different to me, but it's just that sometimes physical lack of or absence of physical contact could actually makes me feel like more like an outsider. So you would say that because of my identity as a in this situation non-Muslim, it actually does not uh, make me as an outsider per se, but it's more of the physical uh, lack of physical touch as well, and lack of physical presence around me. So this is the only time that I felt like I am an outsider. But other than that, I do actually be really good friends with most of them up until today. And that's where I learn more of the culture, especially because most of them are from West Malaysia, and they do share about their culture as West Malaysian. That's all from me.
Thank you, Francis. Faisal, would you like to have a difficult question or an easy one?
Easy, of course.
Hmm. What is a stereotype about your background or culture that you feel needs to be challenged, and how would you address it?
Thank you, Sunny. That is a very, very good question. Well, I grew up in Singapore. So in Singapore, the majority of people here are Chinese. For us, the Malays and the Indians, we are considered the minority. So, I mean, growing up, I've not actually experienced a lot of what you call stereotypes. I mean, I had a lot of. I mean, we got along well with other races. We went to school together. We grew up together. We played together. But I mean, when you live as a minority inside in a country where another race or another group of people are the majority, there tends to be that feeling of the subtle stereotypical uh, uh, thoughts that come in. So it's something which is not really noticeable, but sometimes I think that the people would actually have some thoughts of stereotypes. So the challenge is actually how to change the mindset there. And uh, I feel that some, there's is I mean, not say public. It's not always said publicly, but I think the common thing about what they say about Malays is that Malays are such and such, and uh, but I mean, I'm glad now that things have changed a bit, because it's I think people are more open. So stereotypes do exist. I think as human beings, there's always that subtle feeling of we look at another race, another culture differently. But I think what's important is actually to appreciate why it's that way. So yeah, it is a very very challenging and sensitive topic, but I think it is one which is very important. Back to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Faisal. All of us, I think, as a human, would want to have there's always a need to want to belong, and feeling like an outsider is not limited to, I think, races, but also, I think, between generations as well. I'd like to invite Nadia, because she seems to be very active in the chat group. Because I know Nadia is a mother of 3. How if you could share with us your experience raising your children, appreciating diversity, especially uh, to interact between different generations that we have.
You're asking about the kids.
Yes. How would you, how had you guide your next generation, the younger ones?
All right. Well, my kids have always been in international schools. So, and that's because I was from an international school as well. So, by putting them in, they are already exposed to a range of nationalities, and I feel like when they make friends, it's very nice. They look at the person, they don't really pick and choose. Oh, I only want to be friends with this, and not that. They don't have that, and well, I hope they don't. But so far, so good. And one of my boys, he's active in sports, so he goes to all these football matches. He's been to Malaysia a lot to play, and they get to mix with other nationalities. There's a sport called Forbisia. It's a Forbisia group. They get sent to Thailand and everywhere, and all the other international schools compete. So they're very used to being around a range of different diverse people. So it's kind of cool. I like it. They are very not sakai. What do you call? They're not so stunned by much, and they enjoy it. So that's cool.
Okay. Thanks, Nadia. So our internet and exposure to other culture, it's no longer a difficult thing. Everyone has access to it now because of internet, because of social media. So it's not really that big of a problem. And I do hear there are still some misconceptions, still some stereotype that we're fighting, as Faisal had shared. I don't think it'll be gone. It'll be still be here. I'd like to ask an important question to the main 3, and you can decide who would like to answer first. Uh, I'd like you to reflect on how your own biases or misconceptions have changed through the experience you shared today. So, anyone? Hanan, Faisal, or Francis, think of that. How had your own biases or misconception change through the sharing and experiences we have shared today? So this will be my final question, I think, for tonight. Faisal, perhaps?
That's a very deep question, Sunny. How have my biases changed? Well, I think that, I mean, as human beings, I mean, as humans, all of us, we always are biased. There's always we always have our preferences. We always have our likes and dislikes. So that is something I think that is very difficult to change, and that is shaped by the environments we are brought up in. The culture that we are born into. I mean that our family, our friends, the people we mix around with. But I think that having an open mind, be exposed to different cultures, traveling, especially traveling, I think that's one way where we can grow to appreciate other cultures better, where we can learn about other perspectives, other opinions. Because I feel that being exposed to different cultures, it's something which makes you grow. And people who are, highly I would say well exposed to other cultures, they are more open-minded, they are more creative. So there's really a lot of benefits to being someone who is open to diversity. And I think that's enough motivation to get all of us to get out there and experience different cultures, experience different ways, understand different perspectives. So I think that it is very, very important to have an open mindset towards other cultures and towards diversity. So just get out there, appreciate people for the way they are, appreciate the experiences, just treasure those differences and in others. Yeah, that's my opinion. Back to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Faisal. A very deep answer for a deep question. Well done. Francis, would you like to attempt this or do you want another question?
I think growing up, I'm going to share a little bit. I think based on my own experience, growing up, we do have a lot of biases, like what Faisal just mentioned. It's because of our own preferences. But in my own experience, I was a person that do not really actually care about my own culture or heritage in the first place. And I do have certain biases towards my own people. I believe this is given that I myself, as a Malaysian Bidayu, to be exact, we do have a stereotype that we are the people that loves to drink and most of the time get drunk. Why? Because of our festive season called Gawai Raya. And that's where a lot of people actually celebrate uh, very extravagantly, if I would like to say that. In the first place, I don't really actually like my own culture. I would always stare at them and do not want to mingle around with people of my own race, my own blood, my own bone. But slowly, after realizing that I could not live and experience other people's culture when I neglected my own, that's when I entered university, and that's where I started off to see and understand that other people's culture, their beauty comes from the people itself. And when I was asked to showcase my own culture as a Bidayu, as a person of the jungle to be exact, I do not know what to present. That was a challenge for me back then because I was ashamed of the biasness that keeps on hold into my mind. Slowly, and I got to understand through my own family members, my late grandmother especially, showing me the ropes of how the Bidayu is not only about drinking, it's not about festivities, it's not only about just minding our own business and just drinking till we drop dead, quote unquote. But it's all about community, it's all about nature, it's all about giving thanks to God for the providence that they provided to us. And slowly, I get to understand that culture if you do not appreciate it, it will be long gone. And you will live into a person that doesn't have any identity. And that's how I go through it all, through friends, through families, and through experiencing it. That's all for me.
Thank you, Francis. Wow. We see ourselves from the lens of diversity. That's what I summarize from you. It's very deep. Hanan, would you like to have the honor to be the to answer to be the last to answer this question?
Can you remind me about the question again? It's
Reflect on how your own biases have changed through the experiences you've shared today.
actually just now while I'm listening to Francis, it came to my mind something. I always had this thought in my head, like if people want to challenge their own stereotype and know about other culture, so it's their responsibility, and they should do it. If they want to do it, they will do it. I don't need to make the effort to do it. Now, when Francis was talking, actually, I remember a day. There is a subject that we have to take it as international student instead of what you take as a local TITAS. We have another subject called appreciation of Malaysian culture, and we had to take a trip to explore one of the Sarawakan culture, and our lecture chose the Bidayo culture. And we went to visit Bidayo village. Unfortunately, I forget its name, but it was a day that I will never forget. I enjoyed that day. I enjoyed visiting the village. I enjoy how people host us. I enjoy the food. It's very delicious. And what I taste there, I couldn't find it in Kochi. So now while Francis was speaking, I was reflecting on that and saying, maybe it's also our own responsibility to educate ourselves and learn and appreciate our own culture and know how to introduce it to others. If we didn't make this effort, the stereotype maybe it will not change. But we have to do it without making ourselves burn out and feel like we are having very heavy responsibility, like in a very smooth way. So this is my reflection of today. And I like Bidayan culture, Francis. And I don't know this stereotype about you drink a lot. I love your culture. That's it. Back to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Hanan.
Thank you.
The love goes around. As I reflect on our conversation today, from each and every one of your story that you shared, I feel that true diversity begins with us embracing our own multifaceted aspect of our own identity itself, our own strength, weaknesses, our experience, and our belief. Um, Let us remember that. I think if you can take away all the thing in the world, whatever that we talk about food, let us remember that understanding diversity starts from within, and acknowledging and appreciating the richness within ourselves. We open the door to genuine connection and collaboration with others, and this paired with synergy, I feel creates a powerful force for growth and unity. It's not about erasing differences, yeah. It's about weaving together threads to build a tapestry or something greater than the sum of its part. So I'd like to invite everyone, yeah, to let's carry this spirit forward. Let's celebrate our unique contribution. Pat yourself in the back while working together to create harmonious and inclusive world. Thank you everyone for sharing your stories, your perspective, and your hearts. Together, we are stronger. Thank you.